Hello, my name is Rob and welcome to the first Metal Monthly of the new year. This, if you're new here, is a video series where we talk about everything that happened in metal music over the past month. It's chill, it's laid back, it's fast paced, you learn some stuff about metal music, it's chill, I have a drink. This is a cocktail I made with aquavit. That is fucking delicious. Anyway, let's get on with Metal Monthly. So first, as always, is albums. What albums came out in January? First off, Ahab, The Coral Tombs. This is a funeral doom metal band, and so I listened to this album purely because I had no idea what funeral doom metal is. And now that I've listened to it, I'm still not really sure. Okay, so it's slow and heavy with vocals that are incredibly rough. They sound like a demon shouting at you from hell. It's pretty standard for doom metal. But then it all cuts out and there was just this really beautiful single singing voice that sounds almost angelic. And the music goes away and it's just the lightest amount of drums in the background. It's so weird. I had to double check it was the same band. So the whole album is like that. It's just really rough, heavy doom metal mixed in with random bouts of singing that just sounds beautiful. It's so strange. So after looking into funeral doom music, I found out that it is a mix of death doom with funeral dirge music. That is the kind of slow, somber, medieval chanting kind of singing. It's really weird. Like, that kind of explains the band, but it doesn't explain why somebody thought of putting those things together. Next up we have Atrocity with Occult 3. This is, shockingly, the third in the trilogy of Occult albums. So this is some death metal music with insanely fast drums, insanely fast guitar, that actually has some more high-pitched riffs in there, and some very, very rough vocals. On the bell curve of clean to rough vocals, they are like just past the peak of rough. So this is headbanging to the max music. The guitar is fast as fuck, but it's also very creative. There's some interesting riffs in there. It's not just fast as fuck, although the drums are just fast as fuck, but that's a compliment. Next up, Obituary, Dying of Everything. So it's kind of like the opposite of Mr. Burns, where he was only alive because he had everything. So Obituary are a classic death metal band. They actually started way back in the 80s. So this is again some very fast, very heavy death metal with vocals that are definitely rough, but are cleaner than Atrocities. On the bell curve, they'd be just past the peak into clean. The drums come through much cleaner than the guitar does. The drums are kind of the main focus here, which means that the band then gives the guitars solos so that they can have their own time to shine. Overall, this is maybe some basic death metal, but done incredibly well. It doesn't need anything else added to it, which makes sense. It's from a band that's been around for like 40 years. They know what they're doing. Next up, Steve Vai Gash. So when it comes to metal guitar musicians, Steve Vai is the guy. He's played with pretty much every band out there, and he is just awesome. Also, fun fact about Steve Vai, he started his career as a transcriptionist for Frank Zappa. That's the kind of thing you hear and go, cool, what the fuck does that mean? Anyway, this album is, again, more focused on the drums. They are definitely the backing for the vocals. The guitar is there, but it's definitely in the background. So again, they give it solo so that the guitar can shine in its own light. Overall, this album is a very 80s metal kind of sound. It's fun, it's enjoyable, it's high energy. Try listening to this while you're grumpy. You won't be for long. And finally, we have Uriah Heep, Chaos and Colour. Now, Uriah Heep are a band I never really got into. To me, they always seem like the old person band. And they started way back in 1969. But that doesn't really hold water because I'm a big Iron Maiden fan and they started in 1975, only 6 years later. But still, old band bad. But then I listened to this album and it is some classic rock moving kind of into metal territory and it's really, really good. I mean, it's not really rock, it's got more guitar solos and it's played slightly faster, which I suppose is kind of the split point between rock and metal. Now, I'm not really sure how to describe the sound very well, but it's very 80s metal, and I could try and explain it, but it'd be easier if I just play you a clip of it. Do you see what I mean? It's very 80s metal, and if that's the kind of thing you like, here is an hour-long album that sounds like that. Next up, we have Music Festival Explorer. This is my website where I talk about metal music and music festivals, things within that sphere. This month I've written a blog post on the difference between doom metal and sludge metal. There is a difference, even if at first glance it's difficult to tell. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, please do check it out. There is a link in the description. And finally, we have the news. What is the heavy metal news from January? First off, on January the 26th, Twisted Sister, the band behind such classics as I Wanna Rock and We're Not Gonna Take It, reunited for a one-off gig. Well, a very short 3-song gig. This was to celebrate the fact that they have been inducted into the Metal Hall of Fame. This was the first live performance of the band since they disbanded in 2016, and they have said they have no plans to reunite anytime soon. Next up, during a recent interview, Margot Robbie was talking about how she's a fan of metal music and how she went to a Slipknot gig. She then got some very condescending and very confusing questions from Cate Blanchett.
Does anyone like heavy metal music? Was that something you genuinely liked?
I still genuinely like it. Yeah.
Do you like monster trucks and things like that?
No.
Seriously, what was that? Next up, this month, Madhouse magazine released an article saying that Slipknot were doing a collaboration with Dolly Parton. This was obviously a joke that some people took seriously, and if you are here because of the thumbnail, I can only apologise. In fact, so many people took this seriously that Snopes had to do an article explaining that it was satire. And I know it's a joke, but now that I've heard the idea, I kind of want a metal cover of 9 to 5. Is that just me? And finally, we have the story of a metal couple in America who on their wedding day did not exchange boring, crappy wedding rings, they exchanged electric guitars. Okay, so this story is actually from December, but come on, it's a really good story. The couple, Jay Aspen and Maddie Danger, and by the way, I really hope she doesn't take his last name because Maddie Danger is a fantastic name. Anyway, so the couple were looking at wedding rings and they couldn't really see what they wanted, and one of them made a joke saying, why don't we just exchange guitars instead? And then they did it. They each picked a guitar for the other person and they kept it secret from them so that it was actually a surprise on the wedding day, which is such a cool idea. Oh, by the way, they then cut their wedding cake with a dagger and their wedding car was Maddie Danger's actual car, a hearse. These are the coolest people I've ever heard of. And that is everything I have for you this month. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you have liked it, please do click like and subscribe. It really helps me out. My name is Rob, and I will see you in another video very soon.